Alright, so we've got the first move of the match. Julian Landau here with e4, white pieces against Don Rule, the board 2, Andrew Liu from Harvard. So as you can see, UCLA, we've got 3 titled players, 2 FIDE Masters, 1 International Master, and Harvard has 1 FIDE Master and 3 National Masters. So every board on this team at Harvard is titled. Our board 4, Daniel Yedidia, also known as Chess Elephant. He's the only player here out of the 8 that doesn't have a title, so we'll see how well he does. He's done well before. He's taken a draw against a Grandmaster back in round 2 against Mizzou, so he's definitely got talent enough to compete at this level. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. Julian grabbing some space on the king side. Looks like both sides probably going to elect to castle king side, unless Julian wants to go long and maintain some pawn storm threats on the king side. So Julian, he's definitely underrated. 2380, he's about 300 points below this board 2. He goes king side here instead. Okay, so maybe if he went queen side, we'd see some pawn expansion on the queen side here from Don Rule. So both sides just castle short. And we've got another couple games starting. Still waiting on our board 4 against their board 1. But yeah, I mean, Julian, even though he's down in about 300 or so rating points, he's definitely not afraid. And he is a FIDE Master against National Master. So you know, it's blitz. Really anything could happen. The time controls are 5-2. So 5 minutes with 2-second increment. You know, both players here pretty even on the clock. Although I will say Julian's definitely got the better connection than Don Rule. So we'll see if that plays a bit. Okay, so here, first trade offered in the game. Looks like this knight's hopping in. You cannot take with the knight because once the pawn recaptures, it is supported by the bishop and you will be forked. So definitely not a move here for white to take with the knight. If you did want to take this knight, you have to take it with the bishop. Unfortunately, I don't think Julian wants to do that, so the knight's going to have to just stay there for now. And if you do take with the bishop, this bishop that's fianchettoed for black becomes much stronger. So ideally, this bishop will stay on, and eventually we will try to trade them off. So here we push e5. So this idea is that we're blocking the bishop defense of the knight on d4. So now we are threatening to take twice here, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what black does. Alright, so black is supporting the d4 knight with another knight on f5. Also hitting the bishop on e3. So bishop goes back to f2. And yeah, this should be good. We've got good control over these dark squares. If this pawn doesn't go to d5, perhaps you'll see a knight hopping in to e4, taking advantage of some of these squares. I wonder if Julian's thinking about g4 here, kicking out this knight. If g4, then we could see this knight capture with check, and then the knight replacing it on d4, and we see that without Julian needing to provoke it. So this could be a free pawn. And yeah, sure enough, black takes here on e5. And Julian still going 94, but definitely not as strong a control on these dark squares as before after these pawns have been traded off. So immediately we're attacking c5 and preparing maybe c3 to kick this knight out. I'm expecting maybe a queen move or b6 to address this pawn. b6 might just be... Well, the problem with b6 is now that opens up this diagonal for our bishop. So that allows for potential knight sacrifice, knowing that this rook will be hanging on a8. So definitely not b6. So instead we're going to defend this probably with the queen. So queen could come either to b6 or c7. Just add some extra support here. Good to see all you guys in chat. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Who is the favorite in this match? So Harvard is technically the favorite. They are the top seed. Harvard is actually ranked 6th overall in the entire league. UCLA, not far behind, is ranked 7th. So this is a very tight matchup. In fact, the average team ratings favor Harvard, but only by 10 rating points. All right, so after c3 has been played, this knight gets kicked back and c5 is hanging. So Julian temporarily down a pawn, probably going to take back. I think now would be a good time, either with the bishop or the knight. If you take with the bishop, you get a tempo on the rook here, but I think you just help the rook to develop. Although, maybe the rook is pretty comfortable here defending f7, although not really a weakness for now. I wonder if Julian's thinking about d4 here. Seems pretty simple, straightforward. Alright, well anyways, rook to b8 has been played, and that's probably mainly trying to get off of this diagonal. So now it's going to free up this b pawn to move. Although, if we see a queen move onto this diagonal, the b pawn will be pinned because it still needs to protect a6, and you don't want to give up a fork. Although the bishop is protecting it, so maybe a move like b5 could be played if we see the queen come up. So Julian still up on the clock here, so that's pretty good. Yeah, they are basically even in terms of rating. We do see queen here, so maybe we'll see b5 played. Alright, so we got rook to e8, lining up with the queen, getting on a light square. Not that this bishop could come to c5 anymore. But, you know, if these pieces were to leave, these rooks could be forked on these squares, potentially. Alright, so we do see a g4 move. Knight comes back, and now this bishop, after g4 has been played, frees up the g3 square. Bishop on this very, very nice diagonal. In fact, both bishops very well placed. Not pointing towards the king, but, you know, there's so much piece activity here. Some tactics could be in the air here for Julian. Lots of retreating moves so far from black. Adding some extra support to this knight on d6, but, you know, freeing up this e5 square potentially for white to come into. Although, well, actually, yeah, queen here, followed with like knight to e4, maybe knight e4 now, or maybe queen to e5 first. Okay, so we do see knight e4. Looking at a lot of squares around the king, right? That could have been a potential fork. So we see rook moving over again to d8, adding extra support of the knight on d6, but also getting clear of this fork. So let's see what's going to happen. Is this f7 square weak? It is defended twice, but, you know, if we take and queen takes, f7 could be weak. If we add some pressure with, say, queen to f3, perhaps. Okay, so just giving the check right away, and now we've lined up with this king, so the bishop is forced to come back and make sure there's no discoveries with any knight moves, which could be devastating. This king, literally no moves. So we could totally take this bishop and hope for bishop takes bishop, but probably just going to see recapture here, because if bishop takes bishop after knight takes on d7, then we take back with the knight up a piece. Instead, here, queen coming in, threatening checkmate. So this is pretty crushing so far. This pawn's going to have to move. And yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. This doesn't look too good for black. But yeah, the threat was to take with mate. And if bishop takes, or queen takes, and mate next. So black is definitely in a bind here. White, again, Julian, our board 3. This is their board 2. So we've taken the bishop, and what are we threatening? We're threatening queen takes h6, queen takes g7, checkmate. So there's no time to recapture this piece. All right, so we can give check back. So now we're just completely up a bishop. That was a smooth tactic by white here, and we see resignation by black. So really well done, Julian. Let's move on over. Okay, our board 4 just drew their board 1. Oh my god. Wait. Are you serious? Okay, that is clearly a mouse slip meant to recapture the knight, but instead plays queen to d5, which can be captured here. White showing mercy with the draw offer. My goodness. Wow. I mean, what do you guys think? You take the win there, or you think that was a respectful thing to do? Do you think that's a silly thing to do? I would have loved to have seen, our board 4 beat board 1, but he clearly doesn't want to take it if it's not, fair. What's going on in this position? My goodness. Michael Klein, or Kleinman, excuse me. Not to be confused with Michael Klein from chess.com. Our board 2 here, taking on their board 3, hitting them with f5, and if en passant, that clears both pawns from this 5th rank. Queen to d5, checkmate. And that king has nowhere to go there, so that pawn had to be captured with a rook, and then black was just completely winning. What a game. Actually, yeah. Wow. Okay, hold on. Let me update this. This is huge. UCLA off to a hot start here. I don't think they're going to repeat the board 1 versus board 4 match. So Julian's already on to his second game. Let's... Oh, I don't see our board 1's game. Hold on. We might have missed our board 1 against their board 4. Quentin, so we have an IM on board 2 because this is based off blitz rating. Isaac, good to see you, man. Have a good night. Yeah, I agree with White Noise. I would have gone for the win. Sweep the leg. Apparently, I've been told by our board 4 that they actually know in person and they are good friends. So does that change things? I feel like that would be even more reason to take advantage and capitalize, but who knows? We'll see Julian now is up against their board 1. So FIDE Master versus FIDE Master. I suspect if a similar mouse slip were to occur here, Julian would not be so kind. But we'll see. Okay, so well, UCLA off to a good start. I mean, I can't complain. 2.5 to a half. I see our board one also beat their board four. Sorry I missed that match on stream, but that could have been a sweep 4-0, but we've shown some mercy. But Harvard, they're not going to give up without a fight. That was definitely not the round that they were looking forward to, and they're going to try to answer their best back here in round two. So we've got 2 games started so far. This is our board 3 against their board 1. The FIDE Masters going at it. All right, so we've got 3 of the games started. I'm still not seeing our board 1 yet. Luke. We call him Luke. His name on the scoreboard, Juhao Lee. He is a FIDE master, but he's very close to IM. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, this is PCL format. So each team has 4 players. Each player from each team will play each other once, so 16 games total. First team to 8.5 points wins the match. So UCLA only 5 points away with 3 matches remaining. But, this is a very strong Harvard team. Each player has a title. Let's see how Julian's doing here so far. So no trades yet. We've got some tension here. White probably a little reluctant to take on e6 here because that will open up this diagonal for Julian's light square bishop. So we do see the knight has been moved to d7, perhaps maneuvering, trying to get into e5 to offer some trades. It does have the support of the other knight as well. So we'll see if Julian follows through. No, just getting the bishop onto f6. I like it. Opposite of White's dark square bishop. So getting the knight back to d7 is also a clearance move, making way for the bishop. And also definitely locking down this e5 approach. So not going to be seeing e5 from White anytime soon. And yeah, I like how Julian's playing this so far. He can take if he wants to, but that might help White clamp down on this bishop. I don't know if we'll see a c6 move anytime soon, but White electing to go back. Bishop to f1. This is a pretty common defensive move. Perhaps getting ready to play g3 and shadowing the bishop onto g2. So a lot of times we do see this rook move just to clear the space for the bishop. So what else is going on here? Both sides pretty even on the clock. We're definitely not going to take here and help White and get a checkmate threat on g7. So yeah, we'll see. I think Julian would be probably looking to trade off bishops, perhaps. Yeah, I'm just expecting like 95, to be honest. Julian using a lot of time here to think. Yeah, CCL is the Collegiate Chess League. I should probably add that to the command. Oh my goodness, we got a score already. Alright, this is our board 2 against, I believe, their board 4. Yeah. What happened here? So electing to give up a piece. Well, maybe not electing. Maybe he just completely forgot. Actually, the queen's trapped here. Oh my goodness. So queen comes in to e4. I mean, the queen's got to guard the knight on g3. I think maybe now you could have taken here because you're hitting the queen as well. But knight takes bishop, knight takes queen, take queen, you take the rook here. So this could actually be favoring white. But instead we see bishop comes back. Now knight takes, but just a simple queen b1, getting away of any knight attacks. And now actually the queen could take on d4, but the problem is bishop takes, and you know, if you try to run away, the queen can come in, and if you try to hide on h8, there's this check forcing king takes bishop, stepping into knight takes rook, discover double check. I mean, some really nasty stuff. Queen takes d4. So I don't know. We see the queen has been traded off, but just a resignation here at this point. Guess you got to take the bishop, and then you lose the knight, because you can't play any moves like knight to d2 because of, like I said earlier, taking here on h7 is pretty devastating. So our board 2 off to a hot start, 2-0. Let's go back to Julian here against their board 1. So if Julian can win this would be a pretty big result for Julian here, but he is pretty low on the clock, only about 30 seconds. So Stanford doesn't have a team in the Collegiate Chess League. If you know anyone at Stanford that plays, definitely get on them about it, because that would be fun for them to join. I've been trying to get them to join, but it's tough. Eventually, though, I suspect that they'll get a team together. Yeah, Quentin, let me know where you end up going. So good luck on AP exams, and hopefully one day you'll be part of the Collegiate Chess League. You and your school, wherever you end up going, you guys could start a team of your own. All right, so Julian just taking the knight here. Potentially bishop takes or pawn takes. I think bishop takes might be better. I was gonna say Julian pretty low on the clock, but so is this is Aaron Jacobson here. So both FIDE masters from both teams, really low on the clock. So Julian getting some time advantage here, having to decide what on earth to do with this attack. It looks like a knight was going to be sacrificed on f3. So, stepping the pawn to f3. I mean, we could sacrifice, but Julian obviously sees this. Aaron Jacobson sees this. Well, he's going for it. He's going for it all out. What are we going to see here? What is going on? There's going to be... Okay. There goes a piece. Queen trade. And... Oh, knight takes, and the knight is defending. We've got the bishop pair against a bishop and a rook, and the knight. Oh, the knight's pinned, so this bishop has to stay here. Hitting the bishop. Bishop has to stay on this diagonal. Can we see... Oh, man. He's barely got any time left. The bishop's going to have to come back. We might see a repetition here. Nope. What's he going for? Now the knight's not pinned anymore. Back here. Check. We could win this pawn. Oh, my goodness. I think. Oh, Julian's up so many pawns. My God, he's got all the pawns in the world. Yeah, you just gotta push the pawns. Take here. Ah, if bishop takes, rook here pinning and winning. So now we got a queen. There we go. All right, Julian Landau, 2-0. And this board one for Harvard, Aaron Jacobson, he is still without the full point. This is a commanding lead, 5.5 to a half. Let's look at our board one here. So not a lot of time left for him. 2 minutes. This is the board three. Beast from Weast from Harvard. So Luke here, he's only got 30 seconds. He's down a pawn. But, you know, he's 2570. He's got increment. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting. If we take the knight back, we're going to lose this, plus probably both pawns. So that doesn't actually look too good. I think you can take here. Okay. Yeah, I think this king probably a little bit safer than this king. I mean, what's wrong with taking on g3? I'm not too sure, but this pawn's definitely going to fall. And I think this pawn too is going to be pretty weak. You can play rook takes or queen takes. Actually, not queen takes, because then you drop f7. So what's going on here? Hitting the rook. Rook's going to have to move. Once this rook moves, queen can come to e3. I guess the problem black doesn't want to take, because then you give up the e-file. He's got to move. He's got no time. 6 seconds. This pawn's definitely falling now by either queen or rook. Probably queen. And then start giving some checks. It doesn't look good for Luke here. Infiltrating the second rank with the queen. And also freeing up the space for the queen. So queen is leaving the premise because, well, now g3 is going to fall. h3 is going to fall. Everything's going to fall. And the king's going to fall. So Luke here, our board one, goes down to the board three from Harvard. So Harvard getting the point on the board. Not going easy. Still putting up a fight. Let's see. So, you know, there's a chance they can come back. It's not over till it's over. All right, what's going on here? This is board two versus board one. So this has already started round three, and I didn't catch our board fours match. So that's the problem. Sometimes when you follow the games here, like, they disappear on the side. All right, so apparently our board four won against their board two as well. So, wow. He's playing with a vengeance. We only need 2 points to win, and we've got 8 games left. So it's getting really close. I'm not sure why the games aren't showing up for me. Okay, what's going on here? Michael Kleinman, thinking a long time about capturing this. So the idea is that the knight's hanging here, but the queen's defending the knight on d4. So trading a knight for a knight, and this bishop's going to have to come back. So the knight was hitting it here. This might be an interesting idea from white at some point, unleashing an attack of the queen on the knight on d4, and also trying to block the bishop's view, protecting the knight. So I think something that black has in mind eventually is going to move this pawn and unleash the attack of the bishop on the queen. So when exactly this happens, is it going to be this move, next move? I'm not sure. But this queen's going to have to find a new home. So maybe all the way back home on d1 might be best. That, or try to stick around this king side. I'm not too sure, but normally what I like in this position, when you're up against a king that's fianchettoed, you like to get the queen and bishop on a battery. Usually bring the queen back up to d2, try to trade off these dark square bishops here. So that could be something in mind for white. All right. So while they're thinking here, let's look at Julian's game. This is Julian against their board 4. So yeah, Julian beat their Julian's 2-0. So he beat their board 2. He beat their board 1, which is big. Now he's up against board 4. So if he can beat boards 1 and 2, he should be good against board 4. We could clinch this match before it gets to round 4, actually. We just need two points. Alright, so we traded the queens off. We're entering this mid game. How are we going to hold on? Are we going to push g5 here? g5. It's possible we could also try for knight to g5. The idea behind knight g5, I guess the knight takes on f4 and it defends h3 sufficiently. Because I was thinking we could double the pawns and win a pawn back. So instead, going for g5. Now that the queens are off, it's a little bit safer to push the pawns in front of your king. This is a pinned piece here, this pawn pinned to the king. So I don't see any way that white can take advantage of this by putting a piece on g6. Usually when the queens are still on, queen g6 check here is pretty strong. A lot of times people can overlook that. So anyways, we see Julian developing his bishop, trying to get this bishop out. Probably worth just a take. Maybe trying to induce white to push d5 and open up this diagonal for his dark square bishop. But white ignoring that, not pushing, just simply bettering his piece, getting the knight to d3. So Julian has the opportunity to trade here, but he might just want to maintain this tension for now. And similarly, improve his pieces. So we see knight to f6 played, maybe getting the knight in. Alright, so capturing, and now we're going to see one of those two knights coming in. So we elect to take with the f knight. I wonder how Julian is going to try to break down this pawn structure. He is down a little bit on the clock, but position's pretty even. I don't know, maybe no, you can't take the bishop off this diagonal because f7's too weak. Both the bishop and the knight are attacking it. So king steps up, getting off this diagonal. And only now white captures. So probably take with the rook or the pawn. Maybe with the pawn if you wanted to undouble. But Julian, not afraid of double pawns, taking with the rook, keeping this e-file open. Potentially even doubling the rooks. I think knight to d5 could be a move. Just attacking this backward c-pawn. But I think white would be quick to respond with c4, kicking the knight out and just getting these pawns rolling. So yeah, I think this is definitely the worst piece for black. He's going to have to figure out how to get this guy into the game, involved somehow, either by going back to b8 and pushing the c pawn, or by trying to break through on this pawn structure. So yeah, maybe knight to d5, push c4, and I don't know, could you sacrifice the knight, takes here, and then take this pawn? Nope, so just moving that c-pawn, probably going to bring the bishop back to b8. And if not, you're at least maintaining your options for this bishop. So even though right now it seems like it's not doing much as a piece, it definitely still has potential. So, alright, now we've got an open h-file. Knight's coming back, probably attacking g5. And you don't want to be too quick to step the king up, because then you're going to have another check. Alright, so instead, king over to h6, defending. Interesting. Now, knight hops into e5 anyways. It's definitely a good outpost square. Attacking this pawn with a fork, so that would not be good. We're going to have to defend this somehow. How exactly? I mean, he's got no time. You just got to move a rook. Move a rook or something. He's got 5 seconds. You can't flag. 4 seconds. Okay, so just moving the rook out, doubling up on the e-file. Because this is not only a check, but it's a discovery on the rook as well. So Julian couldn't really save this pawn or the other pawn, really. I wonder if he could have played king to g6. Maybe not. Well, he's starting the pre-moves now. So he's going a little bit faster. If he brings the king up, I think just a simple f3 locks everything down. And this bishop's going to have to try to get in the game. I think Julian's just definitely not for choice here. Okay, he takes. That's a good tactic. Knight takes, bishop takes with the fork. So he gets a pawn back. What's going to happen here? This could just be a draw. So that was a good way to get the material back. And Julian, unfortunately, just doesn't have a lot of time. So he's definitely prone to make some mistakes here. Potential blunders. This is a strong move. You're going to have to give up a pawn. Or I guess... Oh boy. Okay, takes. And is white for choice? Yeah, this king's coming in. Is it going to be a draw? That's the question now. If you take this pawn. Okay, he's pushed here. I think it's a draw. Either way. Oh, yeah, he's just going to get to the a8, and it's a draw now. All right, so that was a close match. Barely any time for Julian, but he gets the draw out. So let's look at our board one. Super cheese here. So board one, he just lost his game. So he's going to try to bounce back here. Let's see. We'll give Julian his half a point. Unless Julian wants to do it himself. I've given Julian access to the scoreboard. I'm making Julian do the work for me. But yeah, he's also streaming this on his side. So check him out. Go tell him GG. 7-2. So this is still just round 3. We've got 2 games left. We need a point and a half to secure the win. We need 1 point to secure the tie. And Harvard actually beat UC Berkeley last week in the tiebreaker. So they definitely have experience. And I definitely don't think it's going to have to come down to tiebreak. But maybe if it gets to tiebreak, if Harvard, gets some serious momentum going in the fourth round, maybe that's all they need to take it from there and win in tiebreaks. So let's see what's going on here. We've got a fork lined up here. So this knight hopping pretty fast. Luke had his pawns forked, and he's trying to just get some counterplay and activity with the knight checks. This rook moves out, taking up this nice 7th rank, attacking this a7 pawn, also getting out of any check ideas. Maybe rook to e8, lining up some sort of checks. No, just pushing this pawn through. It is a passed pawn. So, this could be interesting. Maybe if we open up the a file, we get a rook over and try to, like right now, if we could get a rook on the back rank, that would be checkmate, because this pawn and the knight take up a lot of squares. So the knight challenging Luke's knight. So stepping on over, blocking this square from the king. Now the threat is to check and to win the knight. So king forced to f2. Does that win? No. So this rook move frees up this square, so the rook doesn't come to e2 with check. But I think rook to e2 is still a strong move, because this knight is going to have to move, and maybe we push this pawn through. What's up, Smooth G? I appreciate it. Let's see what's going to happen. Yep, just bringing this guy on in. We could double up. Rook to e8. I like rook from d to e8. Looks good to me. What's the idea? Well, I mean, the idea is if white ever were to take, you take back with the rook, hitting this knight. The knight moves, we push the pawn, and the knight has to take back, and then we take. The problem is maybe Luke's calculating in that position, white down a piece. They do have these 3 connected passers on the outside. So the question is there a way to win for black? He's taking up a lot of time here, and he goes for it. So let's see where this knight decides to go. Well, we'll see if black tries to push. Maybe a move like, okay, moving the knight instead. Going for knight check, take here, and then pushing, perhaps. Take with check. Yeah. And now, okay, hitting the knight, I like it. Yeah, I like how Luke's played this. Instead, we still sack the knight for the pawn. And okay, check. Check. There's another check. No, just getting behind the pawn. Okay. Giving up pawn for pawn. Very low on the clock for both sides. See, there's no good forks. These are the forking squares. Not anymore. So, yeah, white's going to try and push these through. Are they going to be able to do it? Is this knight going to help chase down these pawns? You could sack both, but definitely not worth it. Just step the king on up. And if check again, you got to go h6. All right, so let's see. Hitting the knight. Got to watch out for this. Luke should have this. I think Luke should have this. Gotta watch out for this check now. King can't go here because of this fork. There it is. There's a pawn with check. Very well done. Just gotta grab this last pawn. Yep. That should be it. Knight takes. You got knight here. Defends the rook. Very well done. Very smooth in game there. GG. So that ensures the draw. Our board won here. Luke getting that draw clinching match. All right, let's look at the last game here. This is our board 4 against their board 3, I believe. The beast from West. What's going on in this position? So UCLA's board 4 playing as black here. We got the bishop pair. 2 pawns each side. White slightly healthier pawn structure than black, although black has this outside pass pawn. Unfortunately, it's promoting on the wrong colored square of this bishop. So it looks like white is probably for choice. Is going to try to push through. And black here, as you can see, is opting to save the bishop. Trying to keep the bishop on the board. Not trading down. And yeah, white definitely up on the clock as well, over double the time. Looks like f5 is going to come unstoppable. King has to go back. What's going to happen here? You know, you could trade off one of these pawns and then sack the bishop for the other pawn. So this should be a draw, and a draw is all we need. So Harvard needs to win. I'll play like up, or yeah, this is fine as well. Just boxing this knight out. Definitely not sacrificing the bishop here. This is tough. Maybe push the pawn? Yeah. Yeah, so Harvard declining the draw here. They know they got to win. Bringing the king back. Yeah, the pawn falls now. But playing here, no, king steps over. Yeah, the king's there in time. Is white going to convert this? I don't see it. Is there going to be a way to get this bishop off this diagonal? I think if the king can step in to e6, yeah, the king's going to have to stop the king from getting to e6. So, okay, now that the kings are opposed, the knight's going to have to hop in and try to kick this king back. So we get knight check. It's hard to push because, you know, you just trade off and you lose both pawns. So white, the trick here for white is to push the pawns without losing them. How that happens, I have no idea. I think it's just a draw. We might have to see 50 move rule here. So if we get 50 moves without a pawn push or a capture, the game is a draw. Right now they're on move 90. And I don't know when the last pawn push or trade was. So right here, move 70 was the last capture. So it's already been 24 moves. So they're about halfway to 50 move rule. I don't know if you guys have ever seen 50 move rule declared on chess.com, but let's see. Is white going to make progress? So now the king's stepping up. Knight's on light square, protecting this e5 pawn. Is the king going to be able to box out this king? Not really. Oh, there's going to be a check to give. And then I still don't see it. Even with check, it doesn't work because this pawn's going to be hanging. Doesn't matter. Yeah, the knight has to come back and you can play. No, so now the king has some space. You can give a check. See, I think the king should have gone to d7. I think that was a mistake. Oh, that's a free knight. You just grab that. Yeah, and that's clear draw. Yeah, take that and There's a draw. Should be. All right. Game drawn. And with that, we have the UCLA team moving on to play against Princeton. So this is our board 4. Really strong performance today. 2 points. This is their... I believe this should be their board 3. Oh, wait. What did I just do? Was he at 0? I forgot. No, he's at 1. So it should be 1.5. All right, so let's look at some other games. Let's see, we already saw that. And let's look at this one. So this is the board 1's matchup. All right, so we're going to have a Fianchetto knight here. Not the best of pieces. Yeah, Andrew? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, white noise. I'm missing a point. Where am I missing a point? Maybe they're bored too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know. I'm missing a point. Maybe you guys are missing the point. Because the point is UCLA's clinched the match. Well, this was definitely a very strong performance by our UCLA team. Like I said at the beginning, both teams about 10 rating points within each other in terms of average. So this is definitely supposed to be a very close match, and UCLA has come out guns a-blazing here, definitely on a mission, and they want to play Princeton. They want to keep playing. They want to move on. And yeah, the winner between Princeton and UCLA will move on to play against the winner between Texas Tech and UChicago. So that's gonna be another very intense matchup. And the winner of that will move on to play the loser between SLU and Mizzou. So UCLA has already played Mizzou. And if you guys want to check out the SLU versus Mizzou match, that's going to be happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that's noon Central. And those are the 2 strongest teams in the entire chess league. Yeah, UChicago is definitely very strong. UChicago and UCLA, some of the only... Well, there's a couple schools that have an A team and a B team remaining. UCLA and UChicago are the only 2 with an A team and B team in Division 1 and Division 2. So both very strong schools. Let's see, Luke definitely commanding a lead on the clock and on the board. I mean, this king sitting in the middle of the board like a sitting duck. This rook completely gone. What even happened here? Something went horribly wrong. What on earth? Bishop here, just completely allowing knight to b4. And there goes a rook. A free rook at that. Let's see, is the king going to be able to step on over? Can we take advantage? We see. Alright, so just hitting this queen, just being really annoying. Queen takes, rook takes, so staying on this diagonal. We see like rook takes, queen takes, rook d8, threatened mate. Looks good to me. The knight would have to come to f3 to guard d2 and have the rook guard d1. I mean, you could even do... What could you do? Yeah, he's just taking the bishop. Yeah, I like that the best. I mean, queen takes. And now, yeah, rook to d8, like I said. So knight here looks like one of the only moves to play. And then pawn takes. That's 2 pieces for the rook, not to mention you're already a rook down. So, yep, so knight f3 played, just probably going to gobble that on up. Queen can't even take this pawn back. You got to watch over d2, so that's why queen comes back to c3. And this looks like that's going to be a wrap. Let's head on over to our board 4's matchup here. So what's going on? All right, so we've sacrificed. Oh, that's smooth. That is mean. Bishop coming back to a6 saying, I'm attacking your c-pawn. But Daniel, our board 4, saying, well, you forgot about this e6 pawn, because with it comes this nice fork if you take back. But White's saying, I'm not going to take back and let you, fork me. But instead, forgetting about back rank now, this knight taking away this illusion of a flight square. Awesome stuff here by Daniel. Getting that huge point. That's another point. I'm missing a point somewhere. If someone could inform me. All right, back to the board ones. They've traded off a I'm surprised. Why don't you play knight b3? That's what I love doing stuff like that. The material's already going to be lost. You might as well double isolate their pawns, right? But here Luke's just trying to be annoying, attacking this, but I don't know. Knight b3 looks like a fun, simple move, but anyways, Luke's not too concerned. This is going to be a pretty easy wrap here. Let's look at another game. Ooh, barely any time left. This is our board 2, Michael Kleinman. Is he 2? I thought he might have been 3-0. Huh. Our UCLA's board 3. Try not to give him too much compliments. This is him. So, trading off bishops here. I don't know why he's not taking back so soon. I mean, that looks like a pre-move to me. But yeah, this is our board 3, Julian Landau. He's a FIDE master. Oh, he takes with the rook. That's why he had options that I wasn't exploring. I guess, yeah, if you take with the queen, black can force a queen trade. So Julian may be saying, play on. He can sack a rook for an exchange plus a pawn if actually it'd be both rooks, so probably not best. Board 4, yeah, board 4. This is our board 4, 2370. So no title that I know of. Oh, let's look at this is our board 2 here. So what's going on in this position? Our board 2, he is playing with the black pieces. He's forked the rook and the knight, so it looks like there's going to have to be some sort of trade. I mean, the rook's hanging. Is Don Rule going to flag? 4 seconds left. Michael grabbing here. White taking with the pawn. And this pawn's going to be promoting. And yeah, there's no more checks to give, so this rook has gotten behind the pawn, and there's no stopping. Push, and rook here, temporary pen, but you can bring the king forward, back, doesn't matter. Just getting the queen on, getting the rooks off. Check. And there's resignation, so really well done. Our board 2 here, the point. Let's look at, oh, he's got no time left. Oh, but there's a queen. So looks like Super Cheese, our board 1, Luke Lee here with the win. Really rough showing for Harvard's board 1. We've got 1 game left in the match, and I don't know whose score I'm missing, but I'm missing someone's score. Someone wants to look it up. Do my work for me. Really strong showing here from UCLA. Yeah. Last game of the match. So yeah, I wonder if Princeton was watching this today, scouting beforehand. So yeah, that should be next week. We might have 2 matches next week. Because I know the finals I definitely want to be 2 matches in one day. Thank you, Mega Man. That'll be fun. Princeton's got a really strong team. They've got Grandmaster Andrew Tang. Some of you might know him as the Penguin GM. He is going to be quite the opponent. So UCLA, no Grandmasters. But Princeton, who did Princeton lose to? SLU. Well, I was going to say they've been beaten before, so they can be beaten again. But, losing to SLU is definitely not too bad. I mean, it's to be expected for most teams. Although we'll see tomorrow, Mizzou might be the best chance to beat SLU. So we'll see. All right, so we're kicking this knight out with b3, hanging a3, but the point is that we're trying to get d6. So yeah, the knight right now is guarding d6. Oh, that's a fork. I missed that. So yeah, I think you just take this, right? All right, not taking. That's really interesting. I don't know what I'm missing, but doesn't want to take the rook because maybe don't want to lose d6, but I mean, this is such a weak pawn. Ah, the queen's going to come in to checkmate. That's interesting. So yeah, it looks like the rook can sack, and if takes, you have mate. So that's a free knight. That's clever. I did not see that. So maybe, wow, b3, all the way back when the knight was here. Very smooth. I mean, queen can't take. Oh, queen took. There's check, but I mean, that's a free queen. My goodness. All right, so look at that. Maybe knowing all hope was lost at this point, trying to get a free queen out of this, but to no avail. What a sequence of moves here from Julian. So Julian went really strong performance today. Undefeated, 3.5 out of 4. I'm pretty sure. So look at this. Look at this. Knight takes, queen comes in. Like, I mean, what's going on here? If you try to bring the queen back, queen here, bring the queen back, bring the knight in to g5. I mean, oh, oh, hold on. Queen here, takes, king takes, only move. Then, oh, hold on. I wanted to play, like, get the knight out somehow and then play rook here, queen block, then, like, knight check, king steps back, rook takes queen. There's a lot of things going on here. So I was surprised initially. Like, I was like, oh my god, Julian just completely let up this fork. But no. Queen to d2, eyeing these dark squares. The knight has to come back and guard the queen from h6. But here, queen's coming back, just simply taking the knight. And, the queen cannot gobble this knight on e4, as we saw in the game, because queen h6, and that's GG. No way to stop this. I mean, other than trying for this, but still, queen's coming in. So really well done. Julian definitely very strong. So we're going to need the best performance out of these guys next week against Princeton. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Should I raid Julian? Michael, our board 4 went flawless today. 4-0. Luke 3-0. Julian Landau undefeated 3.5, and Daniel with 3. I have not seen. I mean, I think SLU and Mizzou might have beaten teams stronger than this, but this is a dominating performance. 13.5 to 2.5. Yeah. That's a really, really good job from this UCLA team. So thank you all for watching.